but I do enjoy it as a toss player. So in the bottom left, we will have our friend DemonMonkey from some form of team there, and we will have Dnayyl. Yeah, the blue Protoss in the upper right. Calling out the good luck, have fun. We'll pull up the production tab and speed this up just a bit at the start. And after this, I probably will take a short break just to get a drink real quick, and we'll be back momentarily. Just throwing that out there ahead of time. We don't see anything too crazy. He will scout after the Barretts, probably, seeing wherever his Protoss opponent is. Protoss, however, scouting right after that gateway that is already down. He will be not scouting him early on. He might go straight down, and he will scout him secondly. The supply depot already coming out, though, making it so the probe will not get into that base. Marine coming out, though, will scare him away. Cyber core going down, and 2 gases. I will slow it down. So the 2 gases, my favorite thing in PvT is to throw out 2 stalkers with that mothership core and harass the Terran's front line. Possibly do a Stardate build, which we do see now. We do see that Stardate in the back of his base. I recently found a build which is very, very crazy. It is definitely an all-in, because if it does not do a decent amount of damage, you are in a tight spot. But you can get an Oracle on the field by 5 minutes. His Stargate will be done at around 5 minutes. So just imagine how much faster that is. Most Terrans don't rely or don't expect to see any form of Oracle until about the 6.5 minute mark. So it is quite the surprise when it flies in. It's definitely a proxy. The only time I've done it is on this map, but I was typing to people, so I messed up the build and had it out at around 6 minutes, and he was very, very ready to defend it. So that did not go well for me. We do see a Phoenix start, though. I don't like Phoenix early game for Protoss in PvT. I do definitely like it in PvZ, but I do not think it works too well here. We do see the expansion coming down for DemonMonkey, however, and we will hopefully see one coming down for Protoss soon, but not nearly enough minerals for that. I wonder what he's going for, maybe for some form of a one base play. We will see here shortly. Widowmine coming out, very strong against any air units, one-shotting both Oracles. It does not one-shot Phoenix, if I remember correctly. Let me look at the health on that unit. No, I think it leaves it with a very minuscule amount of health. The Stalker can endlessly kite, but it is well within the Marine range, taking a lot of shield damage, about to pick off one Marine possibly, or just keep doing damage. Not the best form of micro I've seen from a Stalker. You definitely don't want to run that in the Marine range. You can stay outside of that range and do a lot of damage, since there is no bunker set down and none coming up just yet. A Viking being made, maybe expecting some form of Stardate play. We also see another gateway being added to this. Now the Nexus is being taken much later than what he would like to have that down, especially since he was going for some form of Stardate play. Not really using that to any sort of effectiveness just yet. Has a total of 3, maybe moving out with the 4th, which is standard for PvZ. Again, not seeing this too often in this matchup, though. Speeding this up just a bit. And just to get through this little bit of lack in the action, we do see the 4 Phoenixes moving out, no more being made. A Viking is out on the field, or 2 of them. No, just the one. Looking around, I don't know what he's really hunting for. Maybe proxies or something that might be set up over here. Other than that, he's not going to be doing too much. He doesn't even know that, or he didn't know that there was no robo set out. But that is now on the way. These 4 Phoenix will move in, but there's already a missile turret here, so he's going to be in a very tight spot. That missile turret doing so much damage. A total of 24 every time it shoots. And 1 Phoenix is taken out for 1 SCV, a bad trade, but a good preparation by DemonMonkey, and he has that +1 on the way as well. That Phoenix gets taken out. That Widowmine is a hero. They will all clap for him here soon, if only he understood what clapping meant, but that's beside the point. That stim is on the way for the Terran, as well as that +1 being about halfway down. An observer is out, so he can get a sight as to what his enemy is doing, even though he's already seen most of it, with 2 Hellions being made, as well as that Widowmine. I don't see what the Hellions are for. Maybe he expected some form of early Zealot play, but we definitely did not see any of that. Getting his gases at his natural now. Definitely wants to pit those up soon. And getting that robotics bay for Colossi Tech here soon as well. He does want to start making an army, because at 9 minutes in the game, that is what he is lacking, is entirely is an army. He has 2 Phoenixes and a Stalker. I'm pretty sure that's his entire army. Yes, it is. If you want to count an observer, that is also there. Other than that, he only has probes, but the worker count showing that he is ahead by 8 by now sits, making 2 SCBs at a time for that there Terran, only making 1 probe at a time for the Protoss. So eventually Terran will catch up and get back in that economy game, especially with those mules providing that extra mineral income. We see a Void right now as well as an Immortal. A very odd, very strange, not the most efficient against those Marines composition here, because all he saw from his Terran opponent was a Widowmine, Marines, and 2 Hellions. So Stalkers are pretty good against Marines early game when you can kite, but once Stim comes out you can't kite. Immortals are pretty good against Marauders, but we didn't see any Marauders, and they're good against a bunker, but we only saw 1 bunker, and he definitely is not in a position to attack. This Viking will get taken out, and Void Ray is also not the answer to Marines in the least bit. We do see double forwards coming out for those upgrades, though. Hopefully gets those out soon. Another Observer coming out, and then that Colossi as well, which will actually be a decent form of response to this army. And he did kill the only Viking in the air. Terran not making any more Vikings at this time. He doesn't need to just yet, but he did see the Robo with that Viking for sure. So he knows what he's going to be fighting. He just has to prepare for it here in a little bit. Another orbital is somewhere. That is right here. This will fly over here, I would assume, and give him his 3rd base. The Protoss 3rd base is about 20% of the way done, and that will give him the income he needs, but he needs to be making more probes. He is not on nearly enough probes, only 39. That will keep you at a very bad income, and he only has 10 on this main base. More on the natural, but not nearly enough to sustain his large army that he wants to make off of this, getting double upgrades but no Twilight Council because he can't afford that at this time. 4 more gateways being added, though, will give him quite a sizable gateway army, but probably not a very well sustained one on that income. He is using all of his money because he has such a low income as well. That is not a method to keep your money low, to feel like a pro level player, because they do always keep their money low. It's not okay to just not have an income. So that's your today I learned from Apparition StarCraft here. He does get a cannon down somewhere in his main base in case of any Widowmine drops, which we will actually not see. Okay, I thought this was loaded up with Widowmines, but no, there's 2 Marauders and a Hellion. He did see that medevac go, and so he sent that down immediately. Another cannon being dropped in the natural, but not in the 3rd just yet. Probably not feeling that he needs that. The Terran does not know he has that 3rd base, I'm pretty sure. No, he does not, but he will see it soon if he does move out. We do see a total of 2 medevats, one of them not full of anything, and the other one is full with a few Marauders and a Hellion, as well as a couple Marines. The Protoss army, if it had another Colossi or 2, would be pretty scary. Since it doesn't, and since he has so much gas, I would definitely recommend throwing down Twilight Council and that High Templar, or that Templar Archives rather. And he does see the 3rd base now for the Protoss. The Protoss is down a total of about 30 supply, not a very good location for him to be. He does want to fix that, but his income is not good. His macro needs to be better if he wants to hold against this army. Once it does move out, it is seen by the Observer. That Observer is somewhat hard to see at times. Not following the army, I like to get that Observer speed upgrade and have it follow a medevac, and that usually works out pretty well for me. This 3rd base will be under fire, though. The Widowmine's getting in position, and I don't think there's another Observer with this army. This army did fall back here. Must have been some form of drop, that other drop that we did see earlier, but it was cleaned up. The stand does go down, but 1 Phoenix goes down. This Observer is in position to see some of those mines, but not all of them. The 3rd base is gone. Protoss is supply blocked, and Terran will either continue pushing or just back away. Either is actually a good idea at this point. He has destroyed the Protoss economy. He's kept him down to 2 base. Protoss doesn't know what to do in this scenario. He can't max out like he would want to. He can't get those upgrades. He can't get that Twilight Council. And Terran is on those 1-1 upgrades as well, getting that 2-2 on the way. The extended thermal lance is only just now started, very late for that, as well as only having 1 Colossi on the field. He keeps trying to tech, and he has the gas for it, but the mineral count will start to hurt him since he is only mining off of 2 bases and not many probes at either base, even less now than what he had before. He has a total of 41 probes compared to the 57 SCVs, which are spread across 3 bases instead of 2. The Protoss Does he have an observer? He does have an observer with this army. He will see those widow mines. There will not be any cheap kills with that, but he does have a fully loaded medevac over here. Will drop in the natural. He could fly another one to the main, tearing the Protoss army in two, and then just going in for the kill, which would be very effective for all of this. He is not reinforcing with this army. If he just sent this army in there with what he already has, he could destroy whatever the Protoss throws at him. This army being split up with these Hellions dropping down to those thermal lances, the Widow Mine being ever so close to being able to shoot those Stalkers. And we do see the Observer move in. The Colossi even almost getting in range since that Thermal Lance is not done just yet. The 2-2 started for the Protoss. If he does Chrono Boost it out, it will be closer to the Terran's timing. More units going in here, trying to take care of the Colossi, but not going to work. These Medevats will go down, or at least this one having all the units in it. That was the important one. And the Protoss does not start moving out. That would be his best time to move out since he is so very far behind. He does need to do some form of an attack. He does have 3 Colossi, and he's now giving Terran time to make more and more Vikings. He only has 3 on the field. You want definitely at least 6 due to having 3 Colossi. I forget the exact count, but I remember, or I always try for at least 2 per Colossi. Maybe I'm wrong in that. Again, I'm not a Terran player. I'm more of a Protoss player. But that's just me. I like to try every race and get a little bit better with each of them so that way I understand how they all work. That charge, one of my favorite Protoss upgrades is that charge, and I like to see that coming out, but he doesn't have too many Zealots to actually use that. A couple of them, but that would be when I start switching into that Templar Archives tech, since he does have so much gas saved up, and he does finally throw that down, as well as the Dark Shrine, throwing down every tech building except for that there Fleet Beacon. And that'd be okay. That would be perfectly okay if he was on 3 bases already. He's only on 2. He doesn't have enough for 4. He can't protect a 4th. He can maybe not even protect his 3rd. More Vikings being made, and he will have the perfect army to fight this once the Terran does come in. He is supply blocked, however, making 3 more depots at this time. Getting those ship weapons, you definitely want to get that upgraded. Otherwise, your Vikings will do such minimal damage to the Protoss army, or to the Colossi, since they will get those same armor upgrades as the other Protoss ground units. The Vikings will not be doing much damage to them unless you get those upgrades. The 3-3 also started for the Terran, and he has such a higher economy due to the fact of having 26 more SCVs than probes, as well as those mules coming out for the extra mineral income. Void Rays coming out, he's probably just trying to get as much as he can out before the inevitable Terran attack, which is on the way here soon. And the Protoss does not know anything about this, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he has a probe over here with a random pylon. But over here we do see this drop finally coming in. It will take the Protoss army away. You do not want to use your entire army to take care of a drop, because then this happens. He gets an entire base, and with many of the probes for free just because of that one little drop, and he will take out most of these, taking the Protoss back down to 2 bases, and he's already thrown so much money on tech. There is very little of a way to recover, and all of those Widow Mines going off before they are taken out. We do see this army about to engage. The Vikings are all down. 1 Colossi is very low. The Terran does have to run away, though, just because of those force fields and the AoE damage not being taken care of. Not enough Vikings to deal with those Colossi. The army over here, though, 5 Vikings with a lot of bio and a few more Widow Mines will definitely be able to hold against any Protoss counterattack, and this is the time where Protoss has to all in. He has to go for something, otherwise he will lose indefinitely. He does throw down 2 Nexuses. Terrible idea on my, that I believe. But maybe I'm wrong. Those Zealots wanted to be for ire, but they went down very quickly, not having too much. There are no Zealots here to tank. That is going to be an issue. These Marauders will do so much damage to everything in this Protoss army, but the Colossi count just being too much will power through most of that bio army. Not attacking these Stalkers will go down, not leaving too much anti-air besides about 5 of them now to protect those Colossi. This base is under fire, but he already has a 4th base set up as well as a 5th command center. He will be perfectly fine even if he does lose this base. The Protoss is still down about 50 to 60 supply at this time. These Widow Mines moving into position. They probably won't do too much, seeing as how the Observer is still with this army, but we will see. Yes, those are cleared up pretty much instantly. Not a lot of Vikings. He definitely has the money to be producing. He needs to be using this starport, and he needs to actually be moving the units that spawn from it. We finally see more probes from the Protoss. He knows he needs better economy at this point. 3-3 about to finish up for the Terran, compared to the 2-2 with no 3-3 even started for the Protoss. That will definitely hurt if the Terran engages anytime soon. He is ahead by about 70 supply now, and that will definitely show next time they engage, which should hopefully, for the Terran's sake, be soon. He needs to close this out. The Protoss did do a decent amount of damage by taking out most of the third, but the Terran on so many bases now compared to the Protoss, who now does have that fourth base, but if the Terran scouted this and saw it, he would easily take it out. The 3-3 now started for the Protoss. That will come out in a very long time from now. If Terran hits a timing before that does come out, he could do a lot of damage. 4 Vikings at a time, definitely the response that is very good in the scenario. He already has the medevac count that he wants. He just needs to make sure that his army will be suitable against that many Colossi, and 4 more of those Vikings with that +1 will definitely be more than enough to deal with the Colossi count, which is now at 3. He will have a total of, I believe, 10 Vikings, which will be a lot better than the 3 or 4 that he had in the previous engagements. He is double his Protoss opponent's supply, and this drop coming in, if he does see this this fourth base, it will go down. If he does see the third base, it will be hurting. And this all stems from the early loss of the third, and then the second kill of the third basically set this game in stone that Protoss will fall, but maybe he will pull something. Combats are known to happen, just possibly not in this game. This base will be possibly under attack. There goes the Dark Templars. A nice bit of harass with those, and we see a drop at the top. If he drops in both locations at the same time, he will do severe damage, especially since there's 2 medevats in both locations that are both full of units. This one kind of low though, gotta be safe with that. Anyways, we do see these Marines and Marauders moving in. They are going to throw some missile turrets at this location to make sure no DTs get here and start killing these SCVs. The stands will be very helpful, but we do see this drop coming in to the 4th base, killing all the probes here. If we look at the probe count, now down to 36 yet again compared to 55 SCVs. Both people want more workers, but the Protoss is in a much worse spot for his economy. We look at the units lost tab, we see that 45, 46, there is another drop in the top, in the natural base. 48 probes have been killed in total, and compared to only 21 SCVs, and most of that came from the attack on the third that the Protoss did after he lost his third for the second time. And that 3-3 about to finish up for the Protoss. He will be in a much better spot once that finishes, but he has no money to make an army. He only has a couple hundred of both resource, and that's not even enough for 1 warp-in cycle. So Terran, very fearsome at this point. He will not be afraid, especially if he can get some free shots on these Colossi, since those Vikings do have 9 range, and that +2 for those Vikings will be coming soon, making them do a lot of damage. This Colossi will go down in about 2 volleys, I believe. There it goes. And more Colossi is going down. Another one does join the battle, but it will not be here for long. Those storms doing a lot of damage to literally everything of the Terran army, even the Vikings are still flying over that army, but the ground army is taken care of. The feedbats going down on a few runaway medevats. There is nothing in the sky for Protoss, and there's nothing on the ground for Terran. We do see that Protoss is down by about 110 supply, however, and he has no minerals. He only has gas. This is due to his worker count still being only at 45. Terran staying at that 55 mark for his SCVs. Definitely wants to have more than that in a game where he was not so far ahead. Making a large bioforce again. So many Barretts in production. That will definitely help his production cycles once those start. Probably getting tech labs on those, not needing too many Marines in the scenario, especially since the Marauders do so much damage and actually have that extra range compared to the Marines. Excuse me for going to the side of the map. I did not mean to do that. A few misclips here and there, and I keep saying I need to reduce my mount sensitivity, but I keep forgetting to do it. But that's just me. That was a bit of a rant there, but we do see another Immortal on the way. That's probably not the way to respond to this. You want as much AoE damage as possible, even if your Colossi are going to die. This is when you would just go full Storm, full Archon, because that's not going to be affected by the Vikings so much. And the storms, the Terran has not shown his ability to get out of those storms just yet. But hopefully that will not be the case here soon. This drop is ready to go at some point soon, but not just yet. Hopefully he moves into that soon. He could kill these last few probes at the natural. We see a Dart Templar. Dart Templar stolen. If he runs over, well, the Widowmine wouldn't see him because he is cloaked, but we'll speed this up just a bit. We do see this base is under attack by Dart Templars. They do get cleaned up, but that base is almost in the red. That would be bad if it started on fire, but a mule could easily be dropped there, as well as these SCVs that are being transferred over. Those mules giving him so many minerals. When you're maxed out like this, though, you definitely want to do something with your army, otherwise you're just giving your opponent time to do whatever he wants to catch up. This Dart Templar is going to 1 versus 1 a Marauder and come out on top, but one Viking coming down, taking him out, and that is the end of the Dart Templar harass. Protoss has a decent income now. It's actually ahead of the Terrans due to the bases that he's on. Many of the SCVs must be in bad locations for the Terran. Only 4 here, none at the natural, and a lot of random SCVs just trying to chilling out in the main, as well as Marauder. He doesn't know what he's doing. But maybe those will be moved here soon. Hopefully they are, so that way Terran's lead is not diminished. A few moving with the army as well, maybe just to free up some supplies so he can have a large army. He is floating at about 5,000 gas and 6,000 minerals, so he will be in a very good spot to rematch after this army does fall, or after this next engagement, regardless of which army is victorious. The Vikings will not be very effective here since there are no Colossi, but that also means there's a lot less of that AoE damage. The Protoss does have to give up the 5th base, and that will go down here very quickly, and there is no response to this. He does have a total of 4 High Templar. If we see those, they all have very high energy, most of them on max energy, so if they do catch this army, they can feed back, they can storm, and a lot of things will die very quickly. Looking at the production, we do see that +1 shields finally started. Will help those Archons a lot since they have 350 shield health and only 10 normal health. The army is moving in, or the drop rather, is going to move into the main base of the Protoss, which will make him either split or lose all of his production. A free Widowmine hit will hit one of those Stalkers, 2 free Stalker kills there, and these Widowmines also being buried. If you can bait the Protoss army over this, it will be a lot of free hits, but we do see the drop into the main, losing a few warped in units, and he will take out the tech as well once these units are killed. The Dart Templar is warped in, but one scan will take care of that. The 3rd base, or the 4th base, is under siege now by one single Marauder. Not the way that I would see this battle panning out. Another free Stalker from this good Widowmine hit, and more units will be taken down. Those Storms doing a lot of damage, but he does micro out of them this time. The Vikings not really do much. Those Storms being a lot more effective, he hit all of those, and those all did a lot of damage. These units had to go back to defend against this drop. He pulled the wrong units, though. If you're about to fight a Terran, you don't want to pull your main source of AoE, which those Storms were a large part of this AoE damage, but the Archons being so tanky and doing a lot of damage in their own right. The Ghost Energy upgrade is on the way, so that will help him with those EMPs against any army that the Protoss has, regardless of the amount of High Templar and Archons. Also reducing that shield by about 100, I think they made it. It used to be full shield, however, but unless I'm wrong, that is how it was changed at some point in Winds of Liberty before I took a break from the game. I do see another command center on the way. It will be in this this bottom middle position here, and that will be towards the Protoss. Usually you expand away from your opponent in this matchup, but he is expanding towards. He is still ahead by about 50 supply, and as I move around a bit, we do see the Protoss army moving out. He does know about this base. He does know about this base. He could attack either of them that he chooses, and it looks like he will go towards that upper base, which is completely undefended except for a few Marauders and a Marine. One missile turret will not do the job if there are any Dart Templars in this army, and it looks like there are. One Archon might fall here, or they might go after the Zealots, which means that no units will be killed for the Protoss. We do see a mass of mines over here still. They could be used efficiently against that Protoss's 4th base. 2 more bases going down for the Protoss as well, losing all of these SCVs though. The Terran is in a bad position. He does want to fix this. Looking at the units, now only 38 SCVs to 55 probes, so, and the Protoss not making any probes. Apparently 55 is the worker count limit in this match, but this army will be caught off guard. A large Bioforce is going to move in here with no Storm support either. There is not enough AoE damage. Those Archons being trapped in the back, and all these units will fall, leaving the Protoss well below 100 supply. He does lose all of those units down to only 70. He is down by about 110 supply. Terran can move into any location that he chooses and will take it out. Only Stalkers being made. But guess what Marauders are good against? They are very, very effective. 26 damage per shot against those Stalkers, which will take them out very quickly. A Colossi and Void Ray coming out. He's in that desperation mode, but it probably won't be enough. He is going to lose the third base very quickly, and after that, I would assume that the Terran will move to the fourth base, which is already under siege by those Widow Mines, taking out a lot of workers. In total, 80 probes have been killed this game and only 38 SCVs. High kills from both players in this matchup, but a lot more by Terran. Unpowering all these gateways will make him unable to produce. He's only on a couple minerals as well. I would assume that Terran would just take this engagement since he has so many Marauders. The large army over here needs to be reinforcing to actually use that supply lead that he has, engaging with a much smaller army that is at half health for all of those units. But we do see a siege on the fifth base, and he may move into the last Protoss base that he has not scouted yet, I believe. These Widow Mines not getting any hits on them. These two already not charged, already being used at one point or another. Looking at the unit count, we do see a single Colossi is on the map, losing a Stalker, 2 Stalkers to those Widow Mines. He focused down the Templar before the storm, very important. When Protoss, at any point in a PvT, or at any point against any Protoss, you do want to take down those expensive units. It's very hard for them to get them back, especially with such a very low economy. And now Protoss will move towards the space, but he is going to trap himself in this location. No mass recall in sight. No mothership core has been made at all this game, actually. A very important unit to make, especially in the early game for that Protoss army. He does stand and takes out the rest of the army. Protoss is down to about 16 supply, and he does call GG. And that was a very, very well played game. Protoss just needed to get those workers out. And he does agree to a well played match. Very good. That was just because the Protoss, he lost the third early and didn't have a lot of workers as well. The Phoenix opening not very strong in a PvT matchup. And after he very, very badly responded to the drop over here, he did lose the third for a second time, leaving him on a low economy all game. Terran probably could have ended it sooner, taking a few bad engagements, but coming out victorious in the end. So good job for DemonMonkey, and thank you for sending that replay in.